Initiating download. Podcast download complete. It's the Super Power Podcast.
Deya Direct, the fly and fab go-to girlfriend, is all about bringing you interviews
with celebrities,
information,
and her super friends,
and inspiration that take your life to the next level.
Deya Direct gets real.
She doesn't just interview, she goes in. Deya Direct makes a difference
with superpower.
Hey, I'm Deya Direct, and welcome back to the Superpower Podcast. This is part 2 of The Beauty of Transparency with Pat Smith, where Pat continues our conversation about her own journey to self-love and how she's overcome divorce, self-doubt, self-esteem, and really found her purpose in her ministry. This is a great story that I not only want you to hear, but I want you to really get the lessons for it, because there's something in there for all of us to really help take our lives to the next level and to recognize that you're not alone.
It's the Superpower Podcast. We'll have more right after this.
Well-being Trust is working to eliminate stigma of mental illness and ease access to care. Share your mental health journey. You are not alone. And tag at wellbeing_trust. Hashtag be there and hashtag be heard.
Real talk and tools to reboot, realign, and reignite fire in your life. It's Superpower with Deya Direct.
So now you're at the point of it's time for you to figure out what in the world just happened. What am I about to do? I have this baby. Mm-hmm. And it ain't as simple, easy, and pretty as people may think. And I'm out here.
Yeah.
Now, your mom had passed away.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier, even though it was still a great accomplishment what you did in the pageant world, but you went to LA for your dream too, even though love was involved. Oftentimes women, in the name of love though,
Oh, yeah.
we sacrifice our own dreams, and sometimes it comes back to bite you in the butt, and then you can become resentful because you haven't cultivated your skill and worked on that muscle. And so I'm just wondering about two things, even though I want to hear the rest of the journey. In the middle of all that, was there feeling of rejection or insecurity or frustration? Like, I know, like, even though you may have been mad at him, were you mad at yourself?
I will be honest with you, I was more mad at myself than Martin. Really. Because I had compassion a little bit for him. Because I understood the dynamics, but I was really mad at myself. That's why I tell people many times when we talk about forgiveness, it's not always just about other people.
Yeah.
We got to forgive ourselves first.
Talk about it.
To be released. That for me came through, actually my sister Pam, she was very encouraging during that season. She actually was pushing me to go to church. Like, you really need to go to church. Now, again, I grew up in church, but during my marriage, we did not attend church often. I maybe went a couple times by myself. And I can remember the week after the ordeal happened where I left the house and a girlfriend took me in and my daughter. I just wanted to go to church. And I ended up going to a church where the pastor called me out. Trust me, I know he didn't do it on purpose. I think he was just gone for the week. He must have missed all the tabloids and what was happening. But I don't think he had heard about my separation from Martin. And so he actually said, hey, we got Mrs. Martin Lawrence with us this Sunday. Please stand. His heart was in the right place. But that was the worst timing. Because all I wanted was, at that point, I just wanted to get in a safe place. And my heart was drawn to God. Even though, again, I was drawn to being in his presence. And that moment it killed me. It hurt me. And I felt so embarrassed. I felt ashamed because I knew everybody knew. So
everybody knew what? That you
that I had left and Martin and I had separated. I mean, back we didn't have social media, so I got to put people in the frame of mind that this is 1995, 96, 97. Those years, there wasn't any social media, so everything for us was tabloids. So I would go in the grocery store in LA, and it was nothing for me to see us on the cover of the tabloids. That's how really all my family in Virginia found out that I was going through something, was because the tabloids had captured moments with Martin and I, and it was on the front page. So, in the gossip mill, it was getting around on radio stations. People were talking about it in the morning, on the morning shows and so forth. But that was the extent of it. But I wanted a safe place. I was drawn to God. My sister, after that, really begged me to try this other church. It was Bishop Noel Jones. Greater Bethany at the time is now City of Refuge. And I was like, oh, she was like, but it's Grace Jones's brother. And I'm like, okay, like.
That's not helping.
Ain't helping me none. I'm like, okay, so, and she's like, no, girl, I'm telling you, he is amazing. And, she's just pumping him up. So me and my daughter went to church with her one Sunday, and I sat in the back. Like, okay, Pam.
So she came to LA.
My sister moved to LA. Yeah, when I was going through it, she decided to come out there a couple times to visit, to check on me, and then she ended up sliding her way into LA and she always loved LA, but she ended up moving to LA. So she convinced me to go, and I'll always give her the credit, and I'll always be grateful to her for pushing me. So I tell people all the time, if somebody's not quite there, don't give up on them. Just keep planting the seeds. Keep planting the seeds. So Pam kept planting the seeds, and before I knew it, I was there at church, but in the back. And every week, I found myself moving up. Then, girl, when you start going to Bible study on Wednesday nights.
Oh, child, you in.
You in. I was
hungry, thirsty, feed me some more.
I'm just just give it to me. And so Wednesday, I'm at Bible studies. I'm at church Sunday mornings and some night services. Back then, they were doing night services and Wednesday Bible studies.
Yeah.
I actually got saved at a Wednesday night Bible study.
I love
where
it.
I just felt the Lord truly calling my heart and told me to come forth and give my life to Him. And it was, to me, the ultimate second chance in life.
What you write about in your book?
Yes. Absolutely. I believe that God gives us so many. We use second chance, but it's a trillion chances, right? But that was one of the most divine second chance moments of my life. It changed my life, right? So I gave my life to the Lord, and I will tell you, I've never been the same. I believe that was a part of my true forgiveness for me, because once I realized the relationship and I started learning the Word, I realized how much God really loves us. How He's not a God of condemnation or judgment, but He's a God of grace. So as you start learning these things that I had never learned before, I realized, I'm not so bad. I'm not so stupid. I didn't, even in my stupidity and some of my decisions, He still loves me. He still got me. He can still use me, right? I can still go after my dreams. All this I didn't realize it, but this was filling me, filling my soul. So before I knew it, girl, I was out doing auditions again. A friend of mine, Keith, I'll never forget him, Keith Amos. He's an actor who's passed away now. I had a Super Bowl party at my house and never watched Super Bowl, but I always had parties. Had a party.
Yes, that's what it's about.
That's all about, right? And it's so funny because my husband was playing in it and I didn't realize it back then.
Wow.
But anyway, Keith came up to me, it was a Super Bowl Sunday, and he said, have you thought about acting? And I was like, again, that little girl dream that I was too scared to say. I said, I kind of had a little. He goes, you should do it. You'd be so good. And I'm like, really? You're like, really?
Right,
you
tell me more.
So? Keep going.
Really? Tell me more.
Really? Keep going. I'm like, well, no, I thought I was going to be a TV host. I thought I wanted to host Entertainment Tonight. I want my own show like Oprah. He said, there's something there I think you're missing. So he told me about an acting coach. I tried the class. Girl, when I tell you, I was all in.
I love it.
And that's what led me to Bill Duke's boot camp, which led me to working with Taraji back then, both single moms trying to make it happen. But anyway, that journey, I first got saved. That was pivotal. Then after that, I found that there was still opportunity, that I wasn't so bad. I wasn't so the scum of the earth, so shamed that I could not pursue and have confidence in new dreams. And so I started auditioning, and then boom, I have an acting coach that says, you know what, if we do this, this, and this, you keep working, I really believe you can book something. And within 6 months, I booked the Wayans Brothers.
Yes.
Yeah. And so things just started happening. Then I was up for soap. I was up for all my children. I got down to like the top. I went to New York. I mean, things were starting to roll for me. And then through that, I believe, builds confidence. I think with faith and with insecurities, and when you have been truly suppressed and hurt and disappointed, and you've had setbacks, and you've lost loved ones, and you've lost a marriage, and all these things that can really push you down. I don't care who you are. If you don't have and know God's value for you, like His value that He's instilled in you, and His love for you, and His worth, you don't truly believe you can really do anything.
I want to move around a little bit because I want to talk about kind of some of the stuff that you're doing now. But so if you could capsulate your testimony, what would you say your testimony is, Pat?
Oh, wow. Girl, how long we got? About
if you had to just say,
how long does this take, Ready?
If you had to just say it in a sentence, what's your testimony?
My testimony is that God can take, and this really comes, first of all, I got to give First Lady Sarita Jakes this, because she told me this, and it's really stuck with me over the years as my mantra, but that God can take your misery and turn it into ministry.
Yeah.
So in all those moments that were very miserable for me, very painful for me, I've noticed that God has taken each one and He's turned it around for my purpose. And in ministry for me. I never would have ever, if you'd asked me 20 years ago, did I want to be a minister? Girl, like I said, I was barely getting in the church. I was in the back row.
So you're going exactly where I want to go, which is, how did you, so we'll move around a little bit, right?
It's okay.
How did you accept the calling? Like, so we'll talk about, being a mother of 3, 5.
5.
Okay.
I know.
And your marriage to Emmitt, what you're doing now, all that stuff. But in the middle of all that, right? So life is happening.
Oh, it was happening.
You got plenty to do.
Oh, a lot was going on.
How did you know you were called to the ministry, and what is your ministry?
So I got to take you back just a second. Okay.
There's no order. Listen,
so we can be all over the place, real girlfriends.
We're having girlfriend talk.
Okay, we're having girlfriend
all over the place, but we'll get there.
Okay, we're gonna get there, and you keep me there.
I got you. We there.
So the night I left, I told you a girlfriend took me in.
Yeah.
Her name was Sheree Smith.
Love her.
She's now Sheree Fletcher. Sheree was married to Will Smith. We met during the Bad Boys filming of the first Bad Boys. She was the first woman in LA that I met that became my first real girlfriend out there. All my girlfriends were back east. But she was
she divorced at that point?
No, they were. When I met her, she and Will were still married. Trey was a little baby, and we were in Miami filming. Like, I think. But
when she took you in,
they had just gone through divorce.
Got it. So that kind of, I'm sure you had something in common at least. Well, you already did, but
right. We had a connection. That for me was safe, because I think girlfriends, real girlfriends, it's safe. And over the time that we were just friends, married, I could tell, like, she was somebody I could trust. It took time, but I could trust her. So that night when I went through what I went through, she was the first person I thought to call.
Yeah.
And I called her and I said, listen, I am Jasmine. I mean, now mind you, this was not planned. I mean, we had been struggling, but I didn't think about divorce. I just thought we need to, even when I left in the moment, okay, we need to kind of separate to get this thing worked out, but we're going to get back together. Like, we'll work this out. So I just thought I need somewhere to go for the night that I didn't think was going to call the tabloids or my family back east.
Right.
So Sheree took me in. That night I called her. She was like, oh, y'all come here. And when I got to the door, and she recalls it beautifully, but when I got to the door, she took Jasmine and she said, you go to bed. And she said, I got you. And that was it. And until I spoke about this years later, Sheree never talked about it. I never heard from anybody that Sheree had shared that story with them. So I think it's important to mention this, because when you talk about my ministry today, I have a heart for women. I have a heart for people that are hurting, period. but I have a specific heart for women because I know what it's like to walk out of the door of a very safe place, you think, right? In the sense of its security. You have all the, a beautiful home in Beverly Hills. You have
all the
nice
accoutrements.
cars.
Yes.
Yeah, right? People that, but she really provided me a safe place, security, where I could cry and heal without judgment or shame.
So important.
And there was something about that moment that I believe created my heart and passion to help women that are going through the exact same thing.
Isn't that amazing how God does that?
Yes. So before I was really called to minister or to be an ordained elder, I was actually called to help hurting women, to help them realize that yes, there is going to be setbacks, there's going to be disappointments, there's going to be devastations, but God can actually use that for His glory if you let Him.
I believe it.
So Treasure You, which I founded, gosh, it's been 10 years, I can't believe already, really was established for that, to give women a safe place and to give women who were just like me that were in the middle of an emergency crisis a place to come where if we needed to pay hotels, for a couple of nights, if we needed to help you get your car fixed so that you could get to work and get your children to school or whatever, food, whatever it is, your electricity paid for a month, whatever it is, you're an emergency need. We're not the end all, but we're Sheree. We're your Sheree.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's so good.
We're there as a bridge.
That's so good. I love that. And so I'm wondering though, because whenever you're on the other side looking in, you think, money, position, a level of celebrity, blah, blah, blah. Do you find that when you're meeting women or when women connect with you, they feel like they make judgments about you, and B, feel like you don't know what I'm going through. You can't relate. Like, how does that play itself out?
I don't like it. That's probably one of my pet peeves. When people prejudge me. I don't like that. Because it takes away my battle wounds. It takes away my journey, and to me, it takes away the ability for me to help inspire you. When you already judge from what you see, and I understand it. People think, well, she's married to Martin Lawrence. They may not know the whole story. Oh, she's married to Emmitt Smith. Wow. First of all, she's a gold digger. No, I signed a prenup with Martin, but I did get smart the second time. I learned I'm not signing a prenup. If
Either we here.
We're here. If we're going in, we're going in, right? So I learned from that. But I don't like women or men looking at me and thinking what they see on the outside is everything. There's a lot of scars. There's a lot of hurt and disappointment. And if you just listen, if you just allow me to share with you, and you take off whatever that is, that perception, you may have something to gain. You might learn something.
Lately, you've been extremely transparent, about the things that you feel called to share. And, on social media, you share your heart. It's not always with makeup on. You talk about the things that are really, challenging you, including health issues with your family. How did you and why did you decide to start sharing that way, and what's been the result?
Okay, so I started by just getting these nudges in my heart. Like God would just say, like it could be weird. Like I'm brushing my teeth, I'm in the shower, and He'll give me something to share. Or I could have just experienced something and He says, share it. So I would just share messages, especially during my dad, when my father was going through a lot of his health, crises over the years. I would just, can y'all pray for me? I need prayer. It really started that way.
Was that easy for you to do?
Easy.
Really?
It was easy.
Because, pride, not wanting people to see you vulnerable, those are things that come up for people. And in the spirit of being a superwoman, a lot of people don't feel that they do have a safe place, or like they can show people that they're vulnerable, and today is just not a good day.
But let me tell you, God has a way of breaking you.
Talk about
He has a way of cracking that mask off of you and breaking you down from that place. So for me, one was the Martin situation we went through that went straight to the tabloids. I was trying to keep all that secret. Again, I left Virginia as Miss Virginia.
You were playing by the rules.
Honorable. Oh, yeah. I was like, oh, big time. Oh, big time. If people only knew some of the moments before a movie premiere, what just happened, or, having to come to the Martin set and what could have just happened. I had mastered faking it. I had mastered putting on a mask and putting on a smile when I was literally crumbling on the inside of myself.
I know that. Yes,
okay?
I do know.
And I mastered it. But what I realized is that it takes so much energy and effort to fake it, to pretend, than to just be yourself. But God had to break me of that first. So that was one. The next one was, really Emmitt and I, we were dating. And here, I'm coming off a really bad high-profile divorce. I then meet Emmitt. It becomes high profile. And then I find out while we're dating that his ex-girlfriend had conceived a baby by him. That went public. Again, talk about crack in the face. Because it's like I felt like, okay, I went through this, but I rebounded, and I have this wonderful, perfect man. Well, nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect.
Won't God just show you that?
Oh. And a heartbeat.
Just before you, not that you are purposely making somebody your God, but just when you are about to give them all this credit, he will find a way to show you, oh, his breath stink too.
Stink for bad. His boo-boo stinks. Yes. So, for real, I had him as this knight in shining armor.
Yeah.
I'd created this in my heart and mind.
Yeah.
Because it was like, he's rescuing me.
Yeah.
I've been through so much, and oh my God, you just blessed me with this perfect, prince. Well, that was unfair to him too.
Yeah.
It was unfair because he's not perfect. I'm not perfect either. But I put him in this place. And of course, when he fell off that horse, it was hard. It was devastating. It was embarrassing. It was humiliating because, even when you think about it as a woman, you wonder, I don't know if you've been through infidelity, but if you have.
I have.
Okay, so you get it. I don't know about you, but for me, it was like, what's wrong with me?
Yep.
What did I do wrong? Was I not enough? And even though I couldn't express it then, that's what I was thinking.
Right. You may have been pissed, but you were hurt.
I was broke. Oh my God.
You were. And that's why I wanted to ask you about, through all of that, there's a theme of failure, supposed. We think it's failure at the time.
Yeah.
Or rejection. My second book is called Failure is Fuel. Because you use it.
That.
You
That's
use
perfect.
it. You use it, right?
Yes.
And if you learn how to use it, it's not a failure. Right? If you learn something from it, if it teaches you something about yourself, if it gives you, even just to know that you are more tenacious than you ever imagined, things that we would say younger, like I will never, and then you do you'll never, and then you do you'll never a couple of times. You're like, well, I never knew that I would do that. Okay?
I would never say never again.
I would never say never.
Okay,
you learn something,
right?
And so kind of like even what you're saying in terms of your ministry, everybody wants the testimony, but nobody wants the test. But that's what it looks like, and that's what it costs.
But let me tell you why, though. And this is why I am today. This day, I'm a minister and ordained elder, but I don't wear that. I am who I am. I was called to something, but I don't wear it, right?
That's good.
Because I looked at all of these bishops. I mean, I'm under Bishop T.D. Jakes. I mean, it doesn't get much greater than that, right? Bishop, he is super special. So for me, it's like I looked at all of these amazing pastors and leaders, and I thought, there's no way I can be that.
Yeah, come on.
I'm divorced. I've made some terrible decisions, bad mistakes. I failed a lot. I can't do that. Even when I would sit in the pulpit, not in the pulpit, but in the pews, looking at somebody in the pulpit, and I could feel it. I remember being at Woman They're Out Loosed in New Orleans, and I felt the pull. Paula White was ministering, and I felt this pull like when I used to feel watching Oprah years ago. And I thought, no. I could never do that.
Yeah.
I'm not good enough to do that, right? So for me, fast forward, now that I am a minister and I accepted my call, I realize I don't want to ever be something that they see as unachievable.
Right. And the way you're called to ministry is not how Paula White is called to ministry. Like, God wants to use you. But what made you finally say yes? Because listen, I'm asking for me.
Because do you feel like you've
been
called?
running, and I know I've known since I was 15.
Oh, wow.
But I didn't want to, again, it's kind of like what you just described, and I just didn't want to be like some corny Christian, and I didn't want to follow all the rules. I never wanted to follow all the rules, and I didn't want to have to be somebody other than who I was. But to be honest with you, I'm just at a point where face cracked completely, and where am I going? What I had to realize to answer your question, what am I running from?
Well, I'm here today to set you free.
Please do.
You are called just like God called you at 15 years old, because he already knew what he was going to be all about. He already knew what he was going to do in you and through you. And what you're doing now is ministry. So I just want to set you free. You are ministering. You are ministering in what you're doing. And God already knew that you were not going to live by any kind of man-made rules, right? But that if you have a heart for him and a relationship with him that's true and genuine, and you have a call and you know you've been called, that's all it takes.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pat Smith Show. But that's
Was that prophetic?
I received all of it. That is what superpower really is all about. Yeah. And I know you're right. And I just think for you, for me, and anybody who's listening, it's just like anything other than what you are supposed to be doing is never going to be good enough. And that's why it didn't work.
That's why
it didn't work.
That's none of it. And I'm finally getting there. That's why I said, I've been on this whole kick of freedom. Yeah. Like, I want to just be free. I want to just be free to do what I know, not what I wanted to do, but what God called me to do. And
because that way you know to work too, and you don't have to frustrate yourself and waste time and years.
At 47, like what I'm doing now is rocking out way more than I was doing at 22.
And you are rocking out.
Oh,
you are rocking out. And by the way, like Jay Bolin, who does some styling with you and some other things.
Brother Jay.
Yeah,
he's
listen.
My brother. He's
okay,
amazing.
so describe your relationship, but also the reason why I mentioned him is because you talked about rocking out, and he did this like before and after picture of like
Lord.
Safe Pat and like Pat in her fashion now.
Pageant Pat.
Oh my God, pageant
that's
Pat.
Been freed and loose.
And Pat, who is fully free and fly.
Oh, thank you.
Girl, your clothes are fabulous. I have dressed myself.
I know you came to my pop-up.
Yes. Oh, so good.
You would be surprised how nervous I was.
I want to get so much more.
Oh, girl, I got more. You come to my house after this.
Yes.
Girl, it's like I still have stuff I have to shoot that's been coming in. Let me talk about Jay and people that come in your life. Jay will always be one of those people that, like a Sheree that came in my life. Jay will always be significant because he saw something on the inside of me. And he taught me that clothes are just an expression. They don't make you. Because I was always fighting this whole thing. Like once I found my purpose and treasure you, and women really focusing on themselves and loving themselves from the inside.
And I'm feeling away because I'm like, I want to go to a pajama party. But anyway.
Let me tell you, we have the treasure you retreats are like just off.
I've heard. They're legendary.
Oh, they're so special.
I've heard so much. Yeah.
I pray God allows it to happen again. But I kind of went through this whole thing, which is a whole nother story, where when Emmitt and I got married, I moved to Dallas, and it just became about, him, the Cowboys, his life, raising these kids, trying to blend our family, and shopping, I can't tell you how many lunches I had. I mean, it became very superficial, and I was empty. And when he did Dancing with the Stars, it was a big aha moment for me. Thank you, Oprah, because I realized I was really jealous. I was really frustrated because there was so much inside of me, like at 15, as a little girl, I had big dreams. God had purposed this for me, and I wasn't living my best life. Emmitt was. I had no right to be jealous with him. God knows he's played football, Dancing with the Stars calls. He should do it, right?
And that's not just Emmitt. Do you find that even though, he's on a huge platform, right? That's great. And I want to talk about that a little bit. But men, I find, they, unlike women, they gonna choose themselves.
They will.
And I found myself not even close to where, platform at all, but even in my first marriage, I found myself jealous because we were going through stuff and he would still go to work or go do his business. Like he's gonna still do his stuff. He was driven, and I gave up things he didn't even ask me to give up.
That's it. Oh, girl, oh my God. Like, you're my twin. You're like my twin sister.
One day he said to me, he was like, one of the reasons why I married you is because you had a life. Like, go be with your girlfriends. Like, why are you putting all this pressure on me? Like,
oh, that hurts. That hurts.
It was the best lesson I ever got.
Yeah. See, Emmitt never told me, like, go be with your girlfriends, go do. He was just comfortable because he's a traditional guy. So he was fine with me taking care of the kids, getting all cute for the games on Sundays and supporting him and going to Dance with the Stars, being on the front and cheering him on. And
was it eating you alive?
It was killing me on the inside.
Ooh.
And I was, again, I had the mask on and I would go every week and I was smiling and doing all the right things.
I'm doing this again.
And I'm doing it again. And so when he decided to do it, I thought maybe a couple weeks he would make it. But no, that brother went all the way to the finale. And you're talking about 16, 17 weeks back and forth to Dallas. People thinking I'm living my best life. Like, oh my God, if I could just live in your shoes. And you're thinking, I just wish I could take these off and give them to you.
And the irony of being in LA.
Oh, don't even mention that. Because, I left LA to come marry Emmitt and move to Dallas.
I get it.
I brought my daughter. We moved to Dallas. He told me that he thought I could do really well in Dallas. In LA, I was a small fish in a big pond. In Dallas,
but here, you're a big fish in a small pond. Which do you prefer?
Oh, first of all, I was a guppy. I was drowning. I wasn't even a big fish in this pond. I was supporting a big fish. I was supporting a big fish. And for me, again, I don't mind now supporting that big fish as long as I'm doing what I am called to do too.
What was the breaking point in that situation? You're like, okay, I'm drowning. You're winning, but hey, I'm secretly dying inside.
Yeah. It was after the show ended.
Okay.
And it was the finale.
Okay.
And I'm standing on the floor. Everybody's celebrating. He and Cheryl are having that championship moment together. And I realized that even though I had passed out flyers at the State Fair of Texas and
you've been hard in the paint now.
Oh my God. Having, again, before social media was huge, having my kids dress up and vote for Cheryl and Emmitt t-shirts every week at school, and I was wearing them, and I was telling everybody wearing pins and vote, that at the end of the day, I wasn't a part of that team. It was, they did it. It was them, celebrating. And I remember.
But where's your dance floor?
Yeah. And I was looking around, and I remember everybody's confetti's coming down. I look over, and my daughter Jasmine is dancing with Jerry Springer, and I'm like, am I in a dream? Like, what is my daughter dancing with Jerry? I mean, she was like 6 or 7 at the time, right? She's dancing with Jerry Springer and confetti, and everybody's happy. It was like I was in the middle of this, like a dream, a nightmare. And then I walked to the back to this red room that they had, and I remember Good Morning America was back there, and they were like, so what do you think? Like, how does this feel? And I was just numb. And I gave some fake generic answer.
Because you're trained.
I was trained.
It's what you do.
I was trained.
Or what you did.
It's what I did. I was trained to say the right thing, to do what was right. It's never right. It's what's true. It's what's true. I should have told him I'm struggling right now, because really I wish ABC had called me, because I was the one who was pursuing entertainment, and now I'm back in Dallas, and my husband just won Dancing with the Stars at CBS Studios, where I would have loved to have been competing for the last, but I didn't have it in me then. And so what I found over the years, which I think is so powerful, is that there is such power in truth. I think if you look at it from a spiritual perspective, the enemy, I believe, has us, really silenced, thinking that, okay, if I just keep this a secret, if I just cover this up, then I'm safe. But it's not safe. And so when we are pushed, like me, out to my truth, because he had to push me, because I was coming like, I was like, I'm gonna keep this facade up. But when he pushed me out of my truth, I realized it's really powerful to be
What does that
transparent.
mean?
It's powerful because you
What does
take
that mean?
over.
What does it mean that he pushed you into your truth?
Oh, meaning that I end up on a tabloid, my whole family in Virginia and the whole East Coast finds out my secret, that I'm really, I'm in LA and I'm married to a movie star and television star, but we're struggling, you know. That when Emmitt and our ordeal happened with, who now is my bonus baby, I'm Mama Pat and she's my baby, okay? Hands down. I have 5 kids and she's one of them. Mm-hmm. But at the time, it was embarrassing for me, humiliating. And so obviously that hit the news. You know, I know everybody's probably laughing in my mind. I'm thinking, especially my ex-husband's going, you thought you had, you know, I mean, all that stuff the enemy puts in your mind when really he was hurting for me. So it's like I had these moments through the journey where I just had to be truthful because God just put me out there on blast. And I had to deal with my truth publicly. Couldn't keep it a secret. And many more of these moments to come.
So when the Dancing with the Stars situation happened, it was over, and you felt away.
I was mad. I was jealous.
When were you able to be honest with yourself that you were jealous and then say it out loud?
Counseling. Yeah. Afterwards, my mentor, I have an amazing spiritual mentor, Kathy Moffitt. Actually, she's Dr. Kathy Moffitt. She just got her doctorate. But she's been in my life for 19 years now. And I remember calling her the night after he won because he left. They flew to New York. Like, he and Cheryl and the rest of the finalists, they get on a plane and they fly them to New York. So I'm in the hotel room, you know, with the kids and family that's come in. And I went to my room to be alone and I cried to Kathy. Literally probably 3 or 4 hours about it. And I realized then that I was hurting. I couldn't really put words to the hurt until after going through counseling and realizing that really it was a disappointment and jealousy, but that it's really my fault. He was just living his best life. But I was making it about
It's a hard
him.
lesson, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I was mad. I mean, God knows he suffered for that one. But I had to realize it wasn't him. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. He honored me through the process. There was never, even though there was like little stuff like, why does Cheryl have to touch him like that? Why does she hug on him so much? But she treated me with respect, with kindness. Nothing ever came out of it. I would just have these like Oscar-worthy videos going through my head of things that were happening.
Child, listen, nobody knew, but you really were performing.
Oh no, I think I was a really good actress.
You should have won some awards that nobody knows about.
Well, it's funny because now my daughter is actually studying with my acting coach from LA.
Serious?
Oh yeah, and he told my daughter recently. He said, your mom was really good. He said, like amazing good. I saw so many things coming for her. He said, but she just didn't want it bad enough. Isn't that interesting? Which goes back to what you were mentioning a few minutes ago.
So now, because so now you're at a place where it's like, listen, I'm gonna tell my truth. But with comedians, people in entertainment, communicators, or whatever, reality TV, when you tell your truth, other people are involved.
Yeah.
How did you finally get okay with being real and raw, even though I don't know how your husband felt about it, kids, whatever. Like, how does that all work?
Okay, so Emmitt just kind of had to come along with it, right? Because, of course, this was during our marriage, and the first time that I was asked to tell my testimony was during the Women of Faith tour. And I knew I needed to come forth with truth. And so, of course, he heard my speech and he knew what I was going to minister about, and he was a part of it. And he said, baby, do what you got to do, which I respect him for that. He's always very clear. I wouldn't call him to do that, but if that's what you need to do, it's cool. So he never put restrictions on me for that, which is a blessing. When it came down to writing my book, Second Chances, I knew that I had to be truthful and transparent with people for it to really minister to people, because it has to, testimonies have to be real. And so of course, over the last 20-some years, Martin and I have grown in our relationship, and I felt comfortable enough to say, listen, I'm writing this book. You're a huge part of my testimony. Before I publish it, I'd like for you to read it. And he read it and he said, I trust you. I trust you. Emmitt read his. You know, he had some questions about it, but I told him I have to tell my truth. And he said, okay, babe, do what you got to do. The only place that was a little tricky was that the bonus mom of my daughter, Reagan, my bonus daughter, we had not come to that place yet. So out of respect to her, and until we can get there together, I did not go into that part of the story, which is still a huge part of my testimony. However, I did talk about the second chance I had with Reagan, my bonus daughter, and me being able to forgive the situation and move forward, and the benefits that she has brought to my life because of that. So the one area that I did not push it on, because I think it's important that everybody be on the same page when you're giving a testimony, because a testimony out of season can be dangerous. Yeah. It could have totally interrupted our, whatever God wants to do in
that's
our
good
relationship.
Right there. Out of season.
Out of season can be dangerous.
Timing is everything, isn't it?
Timing is everything.
So what is it time for now, Pat?
Well, time now for me to continue to live my truth. You brought up a good point earlier when you talked about, sometimes we suppress our truths for other people. And I've had big dreams for a long time. And I've always wanted some type of platform where I could bless people, impact. Back then I would say impact lives, right? I never wanted to be Oprah.
Yeah.
I'm very clear there is one Oprah Winfrey. But I always wanted to be the best Pat. And what inspired me about her wasn't that she just had all these like millions and millions of people that viewed her show. And, it was more about the impact that I saw she was having on people's lives.
Which is courage. It's very courageous to be vulnerable out there, but speak truth to power all the time. Yeah.
I didn't see it that way at 15, 16 when she came on the air. I just saw this woman that was so magnetic and was so open and transparent. I wouldn't have called it that then, but she kept it real. And she would cry with people and she really connected. I didn't know until now, 20 some years, all she had to go through for that connection to take place. You're not able to connect with people if you can't relate. If you can't relate. Yeah.
So I know we have to go soon. There's so much more. We have to, we'll find ways to continue to have this conversation.
Absolutely.
But what I did want to say is, so recently when I've been going through something, I was producer for the Tom Joyner Morning Show for over 10 years. When I got laid off, in a lot of ways, I was ready. I was really, really ready, right? But then there's life after, right? And figuring that part out. And now you don't have any excuses for all the things that you thought didn't work out for whatever reason. Okay, so now if you don't live your best life, you don't have any excuses. It's nobody else's fault. What you gonna do? Boo.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
What you gonna do now?
What you gonna do?
Right?
Yeah.
So the reason I mention this is because I remember one day on the floor, seeking God's face, really struggling with what am I supposed to be doing? Why are certain things happening? Why now? Blah, blah, blah. And God told me, and I know somebody needs to hear this because I think you spoke to it. I didn't bring you through this to destroy you. I did it to redirect you.
That's it. He opens and closes doors many times to direct us. So instead of looking at, I tell my daughter all the time, if a guy is not into her like she is, I said, don't look at it as rejection. Look at it as God's protection and direction for your life.
We'll be back with more Superpower Her with your host, Deya Direct.
Have you ever been in a relationship, personally or professionally, that has failed? And it made you feel lost and discouraged? Well, what if I told you that you can literally leverage every single painful situation and make your pain pay you back? After all, it cost you something. Just like with a bank account, you want to get some interest off of everything that you've been through. All the tears, all the time, all the effort. Make it pay you back. Use it. Leverage it. Check out my Amazon #1 bestseller, Failure is Fuel, and experience how my testimony can fuel your life to the next level.
We're back where Superfly women testify. It's the Super Power Her podcast with your host, Deya Direct.
I gotta just go back for a quick second. May sound random, but go with me here. When you married Emmitt after you and Martin divorced, were you ready to get married? And then secondly, what has marriage taught you about yourself?
First is no.
No? 18 years having been married, no. You weren't ready to get married. When did you know that?
About 17 years in. Like literally it's about a year and a half ago. We were in, because I believe in counseling, I believe in therapy.
Thank you for saying that.
Really, anybody, even forget about marriage, just personally.
Yes.
I'm big on that. If you need help, get help. There's nothing wrong with it. I've done it, in my whole adult life, right? So we were taught early on, don't wait till the car breaks down to go take it in for servicing. Keep your marriage serviced.
Yes.
So we have an amazing coach who works with us. Works with him, works with me, and works with us together. And we were in a session, and I was frustrated. I was in one of those seasons of frustrations again. Now, by this time, of course, I've written a book. I've done Treasure You. I've started my own nonprofit. I've co-founded a charity with my husband. But there was still something missing, right? And what I realized, we did this show, Mrs. and Mr. Smith, for OWN. And during that filming, first we were like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? But I realize now it was because I needed to fully express this frustration. And it just happened to be on this documentary special.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Where so many people think, you're married to Emmitt Smith. Your life should be perfect.
Emmitt Smith is married to you.
I know, right? That's what
I'm just saying.
But most people say, unfortunately, I'm not going to say all, but there are people that think, oh my God, you're married to Emmitt Smith. Especially think about a single mom at home with 5 kids, and she's struggling to make it work. Husband's not involved. He's not paying bills. She's not getting any kind of love and support. For me to complain is like, oh, you need to sit down somewhere, right? However,
it's a different reality.
It is. I have to speak my truth, and it's all relative. For me, I know God put something in me that I need to do.
Yeah.
And what I found was that after so many years, I had put not only my marriage with Martin, I put my career on hold during that situation, had to rebuild again. Then I left it and moved to Dallas to marry Emmitt. Had to put it on hold again because, you got multiple kids, blending families, all these new responsibilities, trying to get it all. But like you said with men, they don't stop. They keep rolling. No matter if the kid is sick at home, so who's going to be there? I would take it. But I learned about 15 years or so into marriage that, you know what? I didn't have these kids by myself.
Yeah, come on.
I didn't. I really didn't have these kids. And I believe more in a partnership. A lot of people who are very traditional see it differently, and that's okay. But for me and the way I'm designed, I'm not designed to be a stay-at-home mother who has dinner ready at 4, that does carpool. I love doing those things, but that's not my everyday dream life for me. I admire women who are called to that. That's amazing. Pat just was not called to it. And I had to come to that realization because sometimes I just wasn't happy and I felt like I was getting the short end of the stick. So as my career started developing more and, authoring a book, going on book tour, I found myself not only doing that, but also doing carpool, making sure dinner was straight, making sure all family members were on point on both sides of the family, just taking on way too much. And I said, you know what? My truth is, I don't want to do this anymore. Why can't we split the days and maybe a few days out of the week, you decide what dinner is going to be, whether you pick it up or you cook it. Why can't you do part carpool days and I do part carpool days? Why can't when I travel, you stay home and take care of the kids, and then when you're traveling, I stay home? Why can't we do this? We have the ability to create whatever we want for our marriage. And that was a little hard.
I bet it
my
was.
husband, because he had been, first of all, he had a very traditional perception of marriage. And then I had allowed it to go for so many years.
He was spoiled.
Even though I told him, he knew career was important to me. He knew that I was pursuing my career when he met me. But I let it go. I let it, over the years, you just start making decisions that's better for everybody else and you forget yourself. So I had to stand up and say, look, we've got to make some adjustments. And the show actually depicted some of those conversations we had to have, real life conversations in real time. So fast forward.
That had to be hard.
Oh, very hard. Because I came off as a really mean, I think, person or picky
You were
in some
hurt.
way. I was hurting. Yeah, I was hurting.
Which is
I was screaming.
For help.
I was screaming for help. And he was baffled. He was so confused. Like, what am I mean, I pay the bills, you know, what's the problem? I love that you pay the bills, and I respect you for that, and I honor you for that. But you know what? I want to pay some bills too.
You know what? I think at the end of the day, we all just want to be proud of ourselves. Because nobody's going to answer if you don't do everything that you're called to do, or at least give it your best effort.
Yes.
You won't really have anybody else to blame, especially if you didn't go all in. So I am so grateful for where you are now, because it helps us to treasure you.
Oh, I love that.
and you are a gift to not just the body of Christ, but to the world and to women who maybe even coveting being in your shoes. And I think it's important to know that there's always going to be something, even if you have the money, even if you have the status. And so many people who chase dreams, and then I like many celebrities and stars, and they are not happy or satisfied because once you get that, the dream lets you down, because it doesn't make your whole life okay.
No.
And so
then you start faking the dream.
Exactly, because
to make the public.
Because you have a brand.
Oh, girl, don't get me started on the brand.
We're gonna have to have you back, right? Look, I tell you what. Either I'm gonna have you back, or you gonna have me on your show. How about that? I prophesy that.
Oh,
how about that?
I stand in agreement.
How about that?
Thank you.
We could just keep going, but
we
can't.
Could.
But the level and the beauty of your transparency, I'll just end this way, is that it's so beautiful. Not just because you're beautiful on the outside, but it's beautiful because in your transparency, you free me. And you free so many to say, you know what? It's this and that.
Wow.
And live. Because it's like breathing.
It is.
And I had so many more things I wanted to say, so we have to just find another way to do it.
Yeah,
but we all must find our level of beauty in our transparency.
Yeah.
And I think you found it.
Yeah, it's honoring your truth. Honoring your truth.
Yeah. And there you go.
That's it. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I love you.
I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you having me. I really do.
Let's get free, y'all.
This was good for
It's
you
a
today.
beautiful transparency.